Okay, hello there, Year 8. It's Mrs. Gotham here. Welcome to the second video of English for Term 5. And just a reminder that this is all about writing to express your viewpoint. Hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Please make sure that before you watch this video you have already watched lesson 1, which was all about vocabulary that you will need for this unit, this topic, before starting to have a look at this video. Alright, so a quick recap before we start. This is all this term about non-fiction writing to express your viewpoint about real life issues. So you're working towards a piece of writing where you will be giving your opinion about an issue of your choice. And you may well choose, and hopefully you will choose, to link your piece of writing into one of the big questions. They're on the screen here for you to remind yourselves. So the biggest theme, it's all based around how society treats different groups of people and what we can kind of tell from that. So you may well wish to do your piece of writing later this term based around one of these questions. Alright, so lesson 2 is going to be all about cohesive devices. So cohesive devices are some really helpful things that you will want to use in your writing, especially in non-fiction writing, to help you link your ideas together. They help to build your argument, and so they are very, very helpful for keeping your reader engaged and for kind of persuading them that your point of view is correct. So we're going to start off by going through each of the cohesive devices. There's going to be a slide on each, and then after each slide I'm going to ask you if you would like to make some notes on each one. So listen to me explain them first, and then I'll give you a chance to pause the video and have a go at making some notes. Alright, so the first cohesive device is hopefully one that you're reasonably comfortable with, one that you've been using for a number of years, and that is connectives. So connectives fall into several groups depending on what you want to connect in your writing. So they can either help you add on new ideas, connectives such as moreover, in addition. They can help you to order your ideas, so firstly, secondly, finally. They can help you to show two sides of a point, connectives such as however or although. And they can generally just help you to better connect one idea to the next, with phrases such as in order to, on once we have. So all of these generally make your writing more interesting to read and also easier to follow. So I'm going to give you a chance to pause the video now and to make some notes about the different types of connectives using this slide. Take as long as you'd like to do that. Okay, so hopefully you have paused the video, you've made some notes about connectives, different types of them and what they help you do in your writing. So let's move on to the next cohesive device on our list. And that is repeated keywords and ideas. So these are words, they're normally nouns, so things, people, places, which are repeated throughout your piece of writing to show what your main point or your main idea is. And these help you to make it clear what it actually is that you're arguing or what you're discussing, because you keep coming back to this main idea. So here's an example. You can see in these sentences the repeated keyword or idea in bold is football. So let me read it out for you. The problem with football is that most people associate it with hooligans. In fact, football is a beautiful game, but not many people see that side of it. So we can see in this example that the sentences are about football. So the noun football is repeated twice. Okay, so just going to give you a moment to pause the video then and make some notes about repeated keywords or ideas off this slide. Take as long as you want, and when you're ready you can unpause the video. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to make some notes about repeated keywords and ideas from this slide. So we're going to move on to the next cohesive device. So the next cohesive device is pronouns. So pronouns are words, they're normally quite small words or short words used instead of a noun, so a person, place or thing. which has already been mentioned. So this is really important, that you can't use the pronoun until you've already mentioned the noun, because otherwise your reader doesn't know what it is you're talking about. So let's give you some examples, and obviously they help you link and develop your ideas. So make sure it's really clear who or what you're talking about when using the pronoun, as I said before. So be really careful with this one. So words like he, she, they, it, them, those are all pronouns, words that would replace nouns. So here's an example. Teenagers love their phones. This can cause problems for teachers. So this is the pronoun in these sentences, and it's being used to replace the idea that teenagers love their phones. So rather than repeating ourselves twice, we're putting in a pronoun there. Okay, so I'll just give you a few minutes to pause the video, take as long as you like, to make some notes off that slide about pronouns and what they do. And you may also want to write down some examples of pronouns, things like he, she, it, they, and this. Okay, thank you, Year 8. Hopefully you have had a go at making some notes from that slide. Let's move on to the final cohesive device then we have, which is synonyms. So synonyms means using a variety of words, and generally it's especially adjectives, so describing words, to describe a particular thing. So they help you to link your ideas without sounding repetitive, so without using the same adjective over and over again that might make your writing sound more boring. So in the end, it will have the effect of making your writing more interesting to read. Here is an example, a couple of sentences here using synonyms. So we are upset to see this happening to our planet, devastated to know we may not be able to fix it, depressed to know it was caused by us. So these sentences are about global warming or climate change, and we can see that 3 different adjectives have been used to describe how we're feeling about climate change: upset, devastated, and depressed. So rather than using the adjective upset 3 times, the person who wrote this has varied their use of adjective here. Okay, so I'll just give you some time to make some notes about what synonyms are using the slide. So if you pause the video now, make some notes, and then start again when you're ready to come back. Okay, thank you, Year 8, for making some notes off that one. So hopefully you should now have notes on your piece of paper about connectives, about pronouns, about repeated keywords, and about synonyms. So the next task, I'm going to give you some sentences, and you have to decide what's being used in each sentence, which cohesive device. So is it a connective? Is it a pronoun? Is it a repeated key idea or key word? Or is it a synonym? So we'll go through all of them, and then I will give you the answers. Okay, so number 1. Firstly, I think that no parents want to spend the money on a brand new set of uniform. So what is the cohesive device being used here? Okay, number 2. If we wear uncomfortable uniform, it will distract our learning. You have the power to change this and decide on a uniform which will allow us to be more comfortable in the summer heat. For example, including shorts in the boys' uniform would make a huge difference. So what cohesive device is being used here? Have a look at the words in bold, might well help you. All right, number 3. I am trying to persuade you to remove uniforms altogether. There are many reasons why they make school life more difficult. So again, have a look at the word in bold. What cohesive device do you think is being used here? Okay, number 4. Not only does this draw in parents, it also keeps the students warm. So which cohesive device do you think is in bold on this one here? Okay, and number 5, I have never liked uniform. Wearing such restrictive clothing makes me feel less like myself. Such an imposed code of dress is going to make me feel trapped and unhappy as a result. So again, have a look at the words in bold. What cohesive device do you think is being used here? All right, Year 8, so hopefully you've got an answer for 1 to 5 of which cohesive device you think was being used in bold. If you do need to rewind the video and have a look through those again, you're absolutely welcome to before we go through the answers. But if you're all ready, we're going to go through and have a look at the answers. Okay, so number 1, the word in bold here is firstly. So this one you should have had written down connectives as your cohesive device. Firstly is a connective which helps to order your ideas. Assuming this person was going to continue writing, they would probably have a secondly and maybe a finally as well. So number 1 is connectives. Number 2, if we have a look at the words in bold, we've got uncomfortable uniform, uniform, comfortable, the, and uniform. So for number 2, the answer you should have written down is repeated keywords or ideas. This person is writing about uniform and it being comfortable and uncomfortable, so they are repeating those words to make their point absolutely clear. Now you may also have spotted some other cohesive devices here that aren't in bold. So we've got a connective, if, we've got some pronouns like it, and for example is also a connective. So you may have had those written down as well, but the main one here is the repeated key idea of uniform. Okay, number 3, the word in bold was they, so the answer for this one you should have is pronoun. They is a pronoun which is replacing uniform here. So rather than repeating the word uniform, the person has used the pronoun they instead. So yeah, you should have pronoun written down for that one. Okay, number 4, we've got not only does this draw in parents, it also keeps the students warm. So number 4, you should have written down connective as your answer. Not only does this is a connecting phrase, it would link your ideas together here. You may also have spotted that there's a pronoun, it, here, presumably again referring to uniform, but the bit in bold that you should have been looking at is a connective. Okay, and number 5, we can see the words in bold are restrictive, imposed, and trapped. So for number 5, the answer was synonyms. So these words all suggest that the code of dress or the uniform is a negative thing and something that would make them feel quite restricted. But instead of using the word restrictive 3 times, the person has used restrictive, imposed, and trapped to reinforce that idea. So number 5 was synonyms. Okay, so just take a minute to pause here, Year 8 then. How did you get on with that exercise? Did you manage to spot all of the cohesive devices in those sentences? If you did, fantastic. Feel free to move on in the video. If you didn't, it may be worth having a look at the earlier bits of the video again, just to make sure you're really comfortable with what each cohesive device means and the examples for it. And then once you're feeling a bit more confident, come back to this point and then continue on from here. Okay, so we're going to look at a Waggle paragraph using cohesive devices now. We're going to see where we can find the cohesive devices. So I've got a question here, who's the better superhero, Batman or Superman? So my paragraph I've written is about why Batman is the better superhero out of the 2. So I'm going to read you the paragraph and then I'm going to ask you to find the cohesive devices. So if you are able to print a copy of this slide, the PowerPoint is on Show My Homework. If you're able to print a copy, then you can mark on your copy. If you don't have a printer at home, that's absolutely fine. You could just write down or note down where you think the cohesive devices are. So I'm going to read it out to you first. You're looking for where are those cohesive devices. Okay, so the best superhero is clearly Batman. This is because he has no superpowers at all, yet he can stand toe-to-toe with any other superhero or supervillain. He accomplishes this by using physical and mental skills, which he took it upon himself to learn. Without the strength and power that Superman possesses, Batman still demands fear and respect from everyone. This is because he knows everyone's weaknesses, a weakness, and uses it when he needs to. In addition, whenever it seems like he's too battered and bruised to even stand on his own 2 feet, he always finds a way to come out on top. If it came down to it, he would save himself and the person who just tried to kill him. Batman is honourable and deadly, just like a knight. Okay, so a chance here to pause the video, Year 8. Remember you are looking for connectives, repeated keywords, pronouns and synonyms. Okay, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to pause the video and look for those things. So we're now going to go through where we can find those things together. So I'm going to start off with connectives in yellow on my key. So connectives that you should have found in the paragraph are, we've got this is because, yet, which, this is because again, in addition, and, if, another and another and. Okay, so let's just take a look at the connectors that we've got here. So we've got some phrases which add on ideas, like in addition and. We've got phrases that help us to develop our point. So this is because, we've got a couple of those, and which. And then we've got a few other connectors that help make our writing flow, like yes, yet, and if. Okay, so I'm now going to look for pronouns. I'm going to do that in blue. Okay, so we've got he, and another he, and another he, and this. So the this is relating to the fact that he can stand toe to toe with other superheroes and supervillains. He, it, another he, and another it. And his. So rather than saying Batman's, it's saying his to avoid having to say Batman again. Okay, so we've got a range of pronouns there, mostly he and it, to avoid having to say Batman too many times so that it doesn't become too repetitive for our readers. Okay, now looking for repeated keywords then. I'm going to do that in green. So as this paragraph is about superheroes and about Batman and Superman, we probably expect those to be our repeated keywords, remembering that repeated keywords tend to be nouns. So that should help us to find these. And when you're doing a piece of writing, you can also start by thinking about what your keywords might be before starting to write. So here we can see we've got superhero, Batman, superhero, Superman, Batman again, and Batman again at the bottom. Okay, so those are our repeated keywords that we've got there. Last one then we're looking for is synonyms, so I'm going to do that in pink. You might have found that these are harder ones to find. So remember, we're looking for words that describe but that are different words. So rather than using the same word over and over again, the person who wrote this is varying their vocab choice. So for example, we've got physical and mental. So 2 different types of skills rather than repeating the same one. We've got strength and power, so kind of both things, but rather than saying the same thing again, we've got two different words. Fear and respect, again, the same thing. And down here we've got battered and bruised. So again, two different words to describe it. And notice that last one, honourable and deadly. So notice that we've got a real variety here of adjectives to describe Batman. They're never kind of used more than once to describe him. So this person, rather than just saying over and over again, he's powerful, he's powerful, he's powerful, they are varying the words that they've chosen to describe him. All right, so your highlighted PCOH should look something a little bit like that. I can already notice a few other ands and things that I've missed out when I was highlighting connectives. So don't worry if you've done the same thing, as long as you've got the main ones there. Should look something a little bit like the screen now. If you want to pause the video at this point to check your answers, that's absolutely fine. I'll give you a moment to make sure that you've done that. Okay, right, so we're going to move on then, year 8. Remember that you can pause and rewind at any point if you feel like you need to go back over something again to be absolutely clear on it. So let's move on. So I'm now going to model you a paragraph using which is better, Mars or Snickers as my example. So I'm going to do this as a live model. I've already had a thought about some of my ideas and what they might be, but I haven't written this yet. So I'm going to do it live for you to show you how I would construct a paragraph. So Mars is most definitely my favourite chocolate bar. I don't know about you. And I'm going to write about why. So our repeated keywords and ideas here would probably be chocolate bar, Mars and Snickers, I imagine, because that's what I'm writing about. So I already know before I start, or I've thought about before I start, what word I'm going to need to repeat quite often. Alright, so I just need to come out of PowerPoint so that I can type. So give me just a second to do that. Okay, so I've already got my sort of starter here of the first thing I was going to say. Without a doubt, the best chocolate bar is Mars bar, as I've already said. Okay, so I probably need my first reason now. I'm going to start with a connective. So this is because, to join on to my previous sentence to make sure it fills in. And now I'm going to use a pronoun, probably, it. So rather than saying Mars bar again, I'm going to use it as the pronoun to avoid having to repeat myself too much. And now I need my reason. So one of the reasons I really love Mars bar is because the middle of it is so kind of creamy. So this is because it has a really creamy centre, okay, so it is underlining centre because I think my laptop is trying to spell in American, so we can ignore that. So which melts easily in your mouth. So I've got a which there to join on and develop my idea there as a connective. Okay, so far I'm good. I've got my repeated keyword chocolate bar, Mars bar. I've got this is because as my connective phrase. And then I've got it as a pronoun and which as a connective. So I've already used quite a lot of cohesive devices just in my first two sentences here. Okay, so I'm now going to go and talk about the caramel. So I want to add on my ideas here, so I might use an adding connective like in addition. So in addition, the caramel inside the bar just makes it all the more enjoyable as you get a super sweet kick from it. Okay, so let's have a look what I've got here. I've got in addition as a connective. I've got bar, so I've got my repeated keyword there, chocolate bar, bar. I've got my pronoun it rather than repeating myself again. And then again Notice so far that I am using words to describe it which are synonyms. So enjoyable I've got, and super sweet kick. So rather than saying it's enjoyable twice, I'm trying to vary my vocab choices here. All right, I now probably want to repeat my keyword again because it's been a while since I've done that. So I might use a connective here like in fact to reinforce my point. Mars bars are surely better than Snickers, as they are so much smoother. So I think they're much smoother kind of in the mouth to eat than Snickers. So I've got my connective in fact. I've got my repeated keyword Mars bars and Snickers. I've got the pronouns they to avoid having to repeat them again. And I've got connective as to kind of add on and explain my reasons. So I might develop on this now. Snickers, so I've got my keyword again, are too chewy, in my opinion. I much prefer Mars's, they're smoother than Snickers. And the bits of nut get caught in your teeth. Yuck. I really don't like nuts. Yeah, that makes sense why I prefer Mars bars. Okay, so I already had Snickers, my keyword here. I've got an and to develop my ideas. And also I've got kind of a one-word sentence, a minor sentence, just to really emphasise how disgusting Snickers are. All right, so I'm coming on to my last point now. So I probably want another ordering connectives like finally. So finally, let's have my repeated keyword again. So Mars has a perfect chocolate coating, which cracks when you bite into it. Okay, so again, I'm developing on my ideas with which. I've got it again as a pronoun rather than having to say Mars, again to repeat it too much. Notice how, again, I'm using positive words like perfect, but I'm not kind of repeating, so I haven't repeated enjoyable again. So I'm using synonyms to show the positivity of the chocolate bar rather than kind of just using the same word to describe it over and over again. All right, so I probably want to wrap up my paragraph now, just with something like, what more could you want from a chocolate bar? We've got a nice rhetorical question here, and also I'm kind of repeating my keyword again, chocolate bar. Okay, so let's go back into slideshow. So as I've talking that through to you, I've shown you all of the different kind of cohesive devices that I've been using there. So I hope that was helpful to see how I would construct that. So might be an opportunity now to just pause the video here and just read that back through, and really kind of have a look at the bits I put in bold and where those different cohesive devices are. And you can use the box at the top obviously to help remind yourselves of what those are. So I'll just give you a minute to pause the video there, have a read back through my work, see if you can just note again where are those cohesive devices. All right, so hopefully you've had a go at doing that year 8. So we're coming on to the final activity for today's lesson. So you've probably kind of guessed, we've already gone through the different techniques. We've looked at a waggle and I've written you a live model as well. So now obviously it's your go to have a piece of writing, to do a piece of writing. So a bit like I did with the Mars and Snickers, you're going to choose 2 things. And it's going to be a which is better debate. And you can choose what the 2 things are. I've already given you Batman, Superman, Mars and Snickers. And here's some other ones you could have. So you could do PS4 versus Xbox or indeed any console. Snapchat versus Instagram, or any kind of app or social media. Celebrities, Katy Perry versus Taylor Swift, controversial one. Television programs, X Factors versus The Voice, or different games. So up to you which two things you compare, but you're doing a which is better debate, a little bit like my Mars and Snickers paragraph. And you're making sure as you write it that you're including connectives, repeated key ideas and words, pronouns, and synonyms. And when you've finished writing your paragraph, I'd like you to highlight or label where you've included those cohesive devices. If you want to rewind the video and look again at my paragraph to help you, then that's absolutely fine. You're welcome to use that to help you get started. So I'm going to allow you to pause the video now, have a go at doing that. I'd imagine it would take you perhaps 15 minutes, but if you need a bit longer, that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, so have a go, your paragraph comparing a which is better. All right, so hopefully you've had a go, you've written your paragraph, year 8, and you've labelled where it's got the cohesive devices. So if you have, well done. That is the end of today's lesson. So all about cohesive devices today, and we're going to be building on that next week by looking at some other techniques we can use when we write to express our viewpoints as well. So well done if you made it all the way to this point of the video. As I said at the start, hope you're well, stay safe, and I look forward to being with you next time on the next video. Thank you very much.